Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We would like to welcome all of you to the first lecture in our course Computer Science and Health Informatics for this academic semester for the year 2020 and 2021. As you see, this is the first lecture. During this lecture, inshallah, we will talk in general about computer science as a discipline. And this lecture is divided in two main parts. The first part, we will talk briefly about the history of computers, and then we will go and talk in detail about some of the computer basics. طيب. We live in a world of technology. Technology is surrounding us from everywhere, at home, at work, when we go shopping, in the banks, everywhere, literally everywhere we go nowadays, we will use technology. So literacy is not anymore about how the ability to read and write. Literacy nowadays means your ability to use technology or not. So people distinguish between a person who is able to use the technology, they call him digital literate, and a person who is not able to use the technology, and they call him or her digital illiterate. So what is the definition of the word digital literacy? Because this term you will encounter it when you read in the literature or when you hear a technology podcast or any kind of videos that is talking about technology. You will hear the term digital literacy. What do we mean by it? As you can see in front of you, it involves having a current knowledge and understanding of computers, mobile devices, the internet, and related technology. So it's not, as I said before, it's not anymore about your ability in reading and writing. Nowadays, we need people who have current knowledge and understanding about how computers work, how they can deal with computers, how they can use computers, how they can also use mobile devices, internet, because we depend on the internet to do so many things in our life. Even the education system now, as you are doing right now, you are hearing this lecture through the internet, through technology. So we need more people who are digital literate. Okay. Now let's go and define what do you mean by a computer. Maybe every single day you hear the word computer. What is a computer? Computer is an electronic device. This device is operating under the control of instructions stored in its own memory. So computer cannot work by itself. We have to provide some kind of information to this computer so it can carry out specific or certain task. So the computer accepts data input, we give it to the computer. The computer will perform some analysis, or we call it processing. Then from this processing, the computer will produce information, output. So we have data as input and we have information as output. When we process the data, we will have information. So this is an important difference about data and information. Data is before processing and information after processing it. Now it's more meaningful. We give this data more meaning so people can understand the message from this information. Here is a quick example about processing with the input with output. As you can see, input, sometimes we give as you see in this example, it is the date of birth. Then we calculate based on this age, the date of birth, we do some calculation, we call it processing, and we can give you your age, like based on the input, the date of birth. We consider the age now as information output, because we did some kind of processing to produce this output. So we have input again, processing, we do some processing, and then we get output information. So I hope that the difference between data and information now is clear to you. So data is before processing, information is after processing. Okay, now we will move on to talk about some of computer history. Computer scientists, when they talk about computer history and they refer to this term, they divide it into four main generations. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. The first generation was from 1951 to 1959, in the 50s, from the last century. What made this generation unique at that time is the usage of vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes used to store information because, if you remember when we talked in the previous slides about how computer work, it takes input, then makes some processing, then it will produce output information. So vacuum tubes used to store the information that we took it as input, then we produce some useful information or meaningful information. But there was a problem with this kind of technology. It was not reliable and it was generating so much heat. As you can see here in this slide, the machine that used them required heavy-duty air conditioning because the room was very hot, because we have hundreds and thousands of vacuum tubes installed in this machine, and those vacuum tubes generated so much heat in that room. So in order to reduce or lower the temperature in that room that was hosting the machine, they had to use heavy-duty air conditioning to make it cooler. And also frequent maintenance, because to replace vacuum tubes, because those vacuum tubes were not reliable. Every single day they had to replace a number of them because they were burned out, and very large, specially built rooms. Those machines at that time in the 50s, because the computer machine was huge, they had to host it, to put it in a very big room. It's not something that we have today as a laptop, very small, maybe around 30 or 40 centimeters in front of us. We can carry it in our hands. It was a different story at that time. No one could carry the computers because the computers was filling the whole big room. And that was the first generation. The second generation then it came right after the 50s, and it from 1959, as you can see, and to 1965. In that generation, computer scientists invented something that changed the whole game of computing. Invented something called transistor. Transistor this is for your information, it is one of the greatest invention in the last century. أحد أعظم الاختراعات في القرن الماضي هو الترانزستور. Transistor replaced the vacuum tubes اللي تكلمنا عنه في السلايد الماضي. They saw in this second generation they don't use vacuum tube anymore because of بسبب اللي تكلمنا عنه الهيت والنت reliability مو معتمد عليه بسبب الحرق اللي كان يصير في الفاكيوم تيوبز. الترانزستور was smaller حجمه جدا صغير مقارنة بالفاكيوم تيوب. more reliable, faster, نعتمد عليه أكثر وأسرع, and more durable and cheaper. It was cheaper than the vacuum tube. This يعني impact the size of a computer. If you remember in the last slide, the size of computer was huge. It was fitting a whole room. كان يغطي room كامل. Now because of the transistor الصغير, the transistor now, the size of computer it changed dramatically. تغير بشكل كبير جدا جدا من big room إلى تقريبا إلى حجم أصغر بكثير من الروم. في هذا generation also a magnetic disk, a new auxiliary storage device, عبارة عن device جهاز تخزين إضافي مساعد قدم أو was developed during the computer hardware generation. قدم في هذا الجيل اللي هو الماجنتيك ديسك كجهاز ذاكرة مساعد بالإضافة للذاكرة الرئيسية حقت الكمبيوتر, main memory of the computer. This is a comparison between the vacuum tube. يمكن أنتم أنتم إلى الآن شفتوا الترانزستور الصغير اللي بين التو vacuum tubes. عندنا نوعين, الفاكيوم تيوبز القديمة, الفيرست generation, and then we have a transistor as you can see at the bottom of the picture. Look how big is the difference between الفاكيوم تيوب والترانزستور. عندنا huge, الفاكيوم تيوب الواحد قديش حجمه مقارنة بالترانزستور الصغير. هذا this يعني impact how computer scientists in the past manufactured a computer from big room to something very small compared to the old or the first generation. The third generation was right after the second generation from 1965 to 1971. زي ما قلنا في second generation, the transistor and other components of the computer were assembled using by hand. في second generation احنا قلنا انه transistor was introduced في second generation بدال الفاكيوم تيوبز, لكن تجميع الترانزستورز كان by hand. Scientists they were using their hands to build a circuit اللي هو زي المذر بورد. They use their hand to build a circuit. As you can see here in front of you, by hand on printed circuit boards, على ألواح كبيرة كانوا يستخدمون their hands to build it. لكن however the third generation was characterized, مميز أو كان different the third generation باستخدام something called integrated circuits. يختصرونها دائما في الليتريتشر وفي الكتب IC small s, ICs يختصرونه IC. الميزة الثيرد جنريشن كانت بتقديم شيء اسمه integrated circuits. يعني if we ask you أو أحد سألك إيش اللي كان يميز السكند جنريشن عن الثيرد جنريشن, تقديم شيء يسمونه integrated circuit في الثيرد جنريشن, which these circuits which are solid pieces of silicon that contained hundreds of transistors and other components and their connections. الاي سي هذا كان يحتوي على عدد كبير من الترانزستورز ضغطناها في الانتجريتد سيركتس, وكان يحتوي على الاذر components and their connection, كيف طريقة توصيلهم وحديثهم مع بعض. ICs were much smaller, cheaper, faster and more reliable. لو تلاحظون انه دائما كل ما تقدم when we advance to the next generation حجم دائما البيسز القطع يكون أصغر. كنا if you remember in the first generation we were using a whole room, غرفة كاملة الكمبيوتر تمثل الكمبيوتر. بعدين we moved to a smaller size في second generation. في third generation we moved to even smaller sizes, الحجم صغرت في الثيرد جنريشن. هذا integrated circuit comparison between الانتجريتد سيركت عبارة عن زي القطعة هذه السوداء أو الغامقة. It contains الترانزستورز اللي هي تعتبر هي القلب النابض للجهاز، والبرنتد سيركت بورد اللي تعتبر البورد هذه الكبيرة. شايفين اللي كانوا العلماء أول يحطونها باي هاند في السكند generation. Now we will come to the fourth generation, and this is the last generation until today, from the 70s, من بداية السبعينات إلى اليوم. We call this the fourth generation. تمام. This generation is characterized by large scale integration technique. يختلف عن قلنا احنا في الفيرست كان vacuum tube. Okay. Then we move to a transistor by hand. كانوا يحطونه by hand على البورد. بعدين we move to integrated circuits اللي هي عبارة عن القطع اللي تكلمنا عنها في الثيرد generation. هنا في الفورث generation صار عندنا شيء يسمونه large scale integration technique. تمام. ايش معنى الكلام هذا؟ الآن التكنيك أول احنا دائما لو تلاحظون احنا we start slowly، نبدأ ببطء، دائما من حجم كبير الأصغر الأصغر. الآن هنا الانتجريشن تكنيك صارت على large scale، على حجم أكبر. What does this mean؟ قال لك large scale integration technique where several thousand transistors or ICs are embedded on a single silicon chip. لو تلاحظون في الصورة on your right hand we have a single silicon chip. هذه صارت تحتوي على عدد كبير من الآلاف من الترانزستورز والاي سيز، عبارة عن شريحة مربعة واحدة. صرنا نضغط الاي سيز في ايش؟ في شريحة سيليكون واحدة. أول عبارة عن مجموعة اي سيز في السكند والثيرد. في الفورث لا، صرنا نحطها كلها في تشيب واحدة، نضغطها، نحاول we add more to this area عشان نضغطها. وهذا ما يسمونه ايش؟ المايكرو بروسيسور، معالج المايكرو الدقيق جدا أو الصغير جدا. This chip هذا اللي ضغطنا فيها الانتجريتد سيركتس والthousands of transistors. We call it microprocessor, which moved the giant room-sized computer to a whole microcomputer on a chip. لو تلاحظون ان we moved from the first generation من الروم كامله كمبيوتر. انا احتجت روم تقريبا حجمها كبير الروم كالكمبيوتر. الان لا، في تشيب صغيره جدا ما تتعدى ببضعه سنتيمترات صغيره، ممكن اقل، تحتوي على كمبيوتر كامل. شوفوا الفرق الزمني والفرق في السايز، كيف انتقلنا. we moved from huge size in the first generation to very small, very tiny or small size in the fourth generation. Therefore, by the late 1970s, the phrase personal computer PC had entered the vocabulary. من السبعينات تقريبا طلع عند الناس شيء يسمونه personal computer PC. احنا نسمع nowadays everywhere we go. Even if you want to go to buy a computer from the computer store, they will ask you, do you want to buy a personal computer PC, or do you want to buy a laptop, or you want to have a mobile machine or a mobile device? From the 70s, this term personal computer were very popular and people used it a lot since then. طيب, this is a quick summary about generations of computers. الفاكيوم تيوبز بعدين زي ما تشوفون from the top left. الفاكيوم تيوب then we move to transistor integrated بعدين integrated circuits, then we ended at the microprocessor. شوفوا الصور and look at the pictures at the bottom of this slide. See how big is the computer in the first generation. It was fitting a very large room, occupying a very large room. And look at the scientist who was dealing with that computer. He was standing to deal with the computer. Then we moved to another computer in the first generation, another generation, sorry. اللي هو look how big, still it was big. In the second generation, then we moved to a smaller size. For the third generation, then in the fourth generation we have this type of computer that we have nowadays. When we talk about computers, there are a number of types or several types of computer. And the main types are desktops and mobile computers. And we have another type, it's called servers and terminals. We have a third type that is called game devices. And we have a fourth type of computers that we call embedded computers. All of these are types of computers because computers are different in regard to their functions. What kind of functions they perform distinguish which type of computer you need. Okay, first we start by talking about a personal computer. What is a personal computer? هو الكمبيوتر الشخصي is a computer that can perform all of its input, processing and output and storage activities by itself and is intended to be used by one person at a time. هو من اسمه, from its name, personal computer. I can الكمبيوتر ده it can deal with the input ومake take the input, ياخذ المدخلات وprocess it, يعالجها و then give you output. ويخزن بعض المخرج, ممكن الاشياء اللي يسوي عليها processing يخزنها, الاوتبوت يخزنها, لكن كل الاكتيفيتيز هذه الانبوت والبروسيسنج والاوتبوت والستورج اكتيفيتيز, سواء انا اخزن على ستورج او اخذ منها, كلها this computer can do it by itself. ما يحتاج مساعدة من كمبيوتر آخر أو ما يحتاج تدخل من طرف من جهاز آخر. It can be done by this computer itself عن طريق استخدام شخص واحد. One person can use this machine. أنت لما تجلس على جهازك اللابتوب في الغالب you are the only person who is dealing with this computer. No one can use this computer while you are using it. If a PC is designed to be in a stationary location where all of its components fit on or under a desk or table, it will be called a desktop computer. لما يكون في مكان واحد وكل الكومبوننت حقته معاه في مكان واحد, هذا اللي احنا نقصد فيه desktop computer. عندك table, you have a table at home or you have a table in your college or at work, and you are putting this computer on that table مع الكومبوننت كاملة, we call it desktop computer. طيب, now we will move to talk about the mobile computer and how it is different from a personal computer. When we look about the mobile computer, it's basically as same as a personal computer except it is portable. Why? Because it is easy to be carried outside your home, outside your work, use it everywhere, anywhere, at any time. So a mobile computer is a portable personal computer. And we described what is a personal computer in the previous slide. So this is the main difference between a mobile computer and a personal computer. It's the portability, only the portability. أنقل الجهاز with me. An example, a laptop, also called a notebook computer, is a thin, نحيف, عبارة عن thin, lightweight, mobile computer with a screen in its lid. الليد الشاشة, there is a screen for this mobile computer and a keyboard in its base. في القاعدة في keyboard, as you can see in the slide. Now we will move to talk about the second type of computers. They are called servers. الخوادم. Servers, the word server is widely used in networking, في الشبكات. You will hear this word a lot. كلمة السيرفر, it is very common لما نتكلم في أي مصطلح الشبكات. A server is a computer dedicated to provide one or more services to other computers or devices on a network. So this is the main purpose of using a server, to provide services to other devices or computers. It is different than the personal computer. The personal computer serves itself, يخدم نفسه. لكن السيرفر serve others. Other computers, they will connect with this server to get some kind of services. So as you can see in the network, we have a central device on the figure or illustration on this slide on the right. As you can see, that we have a central device. All other computers are connected to this central device to get some kind of service or خدمة يقدمها لهم السيرفر ده, this server. طيب, services provided by servers. What kind of services that are provided by servers? hosting websites and applications. استضافة الويب-سايتس لما يكون في website معين. If you want to build your own website, most of the time you are not going to host your website. You will ask other company, please host my website. You will pay them a certain amount of money, maybe $20, $30 per month, so they can host your website. So the servers can provide this kind of services. استضافة المواقع والتطبيقات. Storing content. We can use servers to store content. If I don't have enough storage, I will ask another company if they can give me some space on their servers so I can store my data. A clear example of this is Dropbox. Dropbox is a company, a storage company, where you can create your own account, and I think they will give you around 2 GB for free to put your files on their servers. If you have more than 2 GB of files, you have to pay them, I think, around $10 or $9 per month to get their services. Also, some of the services that are provided by servers are controlling access to hardware, software, and other resources on a network. Sometimes we put a very important file on a server, and this file is controlling the whole network. يتحكم في الشبكة بشكل كامل. Example of servers. Mainframe is a large, expensive, powerful server that can handle requests from hundreds or thousands of connected users simultaneously. What does the word simultaneously mean? At the same time. This means maybe this mainframe is accessed by 1,000 or 2,000 users at the same time. To what? To get a specific service. They want either to process some data, or they want to store some data, or they want to do something on the server, so they can do it at the same time. This is a very powerful. This machine, the mainframe, has a very large number of processors, very big or large storage to be able to serve all these number of users. So it's not a normal computer. It is a very powerful computer. Another example of server, a supercomputer. This computer is, from its name, it's very fast, most powerful computer. Fastest supercomputers are capable of processing more than 1 quadrillion instructions in a single second. Look how many instructions this computer can handle. It is, from its name, it's very it's very fast, very fast. It can handle a very large number of instructions in a millisecond. Okay, Now we will move to talk about a special kind of computer we call a terminal. A terminal is a computer with limited processing power. This processing power enables the user to send and receive data information from a server or a computer network. التيرمينال هو أقل قدرة من الكمبيوتر العادي بسبب أنه محدود قوة الجهاز هذا محدودة. البروسيسنج باور is limited. المين بيربس من الكمبيوتر هذا الهدف الرئيسي to serve certain functions، الهدف معين. For example بعض الأحيان in البنك if you go to a bank you will see clerks or employees at the bank they are using terminals. They just use the terminals to input data or to get to input data to the central server، السيرفر الرئيسي حق الشركة حقت البنك، and pull يسحبون some information المعلومات العملاء من السيرفر الرئيسي. the main purpose الهدف الرئيسي من this terminal is to push the data and pull the data. Most of the processing أكثر العمليات تصير it's not on this terminal، ما تصير على الجهاز اللي on this terminal، تصير على السنترال سيرفر، السيرفر الخادم المين سيرفر الرئيسي تبع الشركة موجود في جدة الرياض الخبر whatever. The terminal الemployee الموظف uses this terminal to push the data and pull the data. So this is the main purpose of using a terminal. They may include a monitor, a touch screen, keyboard and memory. ممكن يكون فيها الأشياء هذه، حتى الميموري ممكن الميموري تكون limited يعني حتى ability to do a lot of calculations is limited. ما عندها مقدرة نسوي a lot of calculations. الميموري for specific reason لهدف معين، أخزن معلومات العميل الحالية وبعدين I will push it راح أرسلها إلى المين سيرفر. A thin client is a terminal that looks like a desktop but has limited capabilities and components as they don't contain a hard disk. A thin client is another term، مصطلح آخر يسمى thin client، عبارة عن terminal ويشبه الديسكتوب بس with limited capabilities، المقدرة حقته محدودة أيضا as a terminal. It doesn't have hard disk، ما عنده hard disk يخزن long term. hard disk يخزن أشياء بعيدة ما احتاجها الآن بعدين. الهارد ديسك موجود على السنترال سيرفر، على السيرفر الخادم الرئيسي تبع الشركة. أنا كثين كلاينت ما عندي المقدرة I cannot store a data on my machine، لأن أنا عندي ثين كلاينت، أنا ما عندي ديسكتوب or موبايل كمبيوتر، أنا ما عندي هارد ديسك. هارد ديسك موجود في another location. We go now to special purpose terminals. أيضا هذه أنواع خاصة من التيرمينالز. It's called special purpose terminals, SPT. These kind of terminals are that capable of performing specific tasks and contain features uniquely بشكل خاص designed for use in particular industry، مصمم بشكل خاص لتهدف شريحة معينة أو هدف معين أو شغلة معينة. أحد الأشهر التيرمينالز اللي هو special purpose terminal صرافة ال ATM machine. ال ATM machine عبارة عن special purpose terminal. ليه؟ لأنها تؤدي غرض for a specific task. As you can see, an automated teller machine is a self-service banking terminal that connects to a host computer through a network. The ATM machine, it doesn't have your information, it's connected to a central device, a server, and it pulls تسحب المعلومات من السيرفر الرئيسي it will display it in front of you on the screen or on the machine. عندنا كمان ال point of sale في السوبر ماركت. You can use it as a special purpose terminal and also self-service كلاسيك سواء خاصة في الصور أو أي خدمة تاسك ثانية، ممكن إحنا we use this kind of terminal to perform a specific or certain task. الهدف منها تؤدي خدمة معينة فقط. I cannot use it for other tasks. Another type of computers, game devices, those are computers for sure. And a game console is a mobile computing device designed for a single player or multiplayer video games. عبارة عن الجيم console زي البلايستيشن, and I think the majority, if you are very familiar with game consoles, the PlayStation, Xbox, whatever the video game is, these kind of computers, they are designed for video games. It might be designed for a single player, or multiplayers can use these computers. Also, a handheld game device, something you can hold it with your hand. It's small, you can play with it. And game controllers, as you can see in the picture, you have game pads, joysticks, so you can control the players or do a certain task in a game. Embedded computers, these are a special type of computers. These are مزروعة في المشين في الجهاز. You cannot see it. أنت ما راح تشوف typical computer with monitor, with keyboard. It's from its name, embedded computer. Embedded computers are planted inside another body of machine, so you cannot see it. But this machine, if we embed the computer inside this machine, inside the body of this machine, we can now program this device or program this body. We can make it follow some instructions. We can force it to do a certain task or to control certain things. So embedded computer is a special purpose computer that functions as a component in a larger product. زي ما قلنا في larger product we can embed it, نزرعه في another body. Embedded system with connectivity to a local network or internet will be classified as IoT, Internet of Things device. Embedded computer, when we put it inside another device, لما نزرعه في جهاز ثاني, this device is connected to the network في الشبكة, موصل في الشبكة في الانترنت, we call it, classify it أو نصنفه as Internet of Things. So now this machine will be connected to the whole network. So you can, for example, I will give you an example here. If we embed a computer in our fridge at home, في الثلاجة, we will put embed computer, we can control it and link it to a network in our house. You can control the fridge from outside when you are outside or traveling or sleep, or when you are at your bed. You can control the fridge, turn on the light, turn off the light, raise the temperature, lower the temperature, check other products if they are available in certain drawer inside the fridge. We can do so many things with embedded computers. These are examples of. Now, we already completed in the last slide the first part of this lecture, where we talked about different generations of computers, and we discussed and shed some light on the different types of computers, the personal computer, and mobile servers, a special purpose computers اللي هي terminals, and we describe each one of them. From this slide till the last slide of this lecture, we will talk about computer as a discipline, كتخصص. Why we have computer as a discipline, and we will give you a lot of descriptions about important things when we talk about computer science as a discipline. Okay, here in this slide we will define the term computer science. It is one of the most famous field in computer, or under the umbrella of computer. It is there in most universities around the world. You will find this major, computer science. So it is the study of computation, any kind of computation that involves all aspects of problem solving, which includes the design of analysis of algorithm. And we will devote chapter 5 in this semester, inshallah, to discuss and talk about algorithms. The second point, the formalization of algorithms as programs, how we can formalize an algorithm to perform as a program, because the main algorithms is one of the major important concepts in computer science. The third point here, the development of computational devices for executing programs. We need to develop computational devices to execute programs. And the fourth point is the theoretical study of the power and limitation of computing. These points are included under the definition of computer science. One phrase, the artificial science, اللي هو العلم الصناعي أو المصطلح to distinguish computer science from natural sciences. In natural science, we know there are natural sciences and artificial sciences. Natural sciences هي العلوم الطبيعية. Study naturally occurring phenomena, الأشياء اللي تصير في الطبيعة، الأحداث, and attempt to extract underlying laws واكتشاف الاستنتاج القوانين اللي تجري تحت الأشياء الطبيعية of natural like chemistry, biology, physics, الكيمياء والأحياء والفيزياء. هذه كلها تسمى علوم طبيعية لأنها شغلات جاية من الطبيعة. While computer science, it's about study human-made constructs, الأشياء اللي صنعها الإنسان, like programs or computers. In natural science احنا ندرس again. In natural science we study natural occurring phenomena, أشياء تحدث في الطبيعة بشكل طبيعي. احنا we are trying to study it. زي في البيولوجي اللي صاير في الكيمستري، الذرة وأجزاء الذرة والضوء والجسم الإنسان والخلايا. هذه كلها أشياء الإنسان didn't make it. الإنسان ما بناها أو عملها أو خلقها. هذه مخلوقة من الله عز وجل. we are trying to study it under the natural sciences، العلوم الطبيعية. while computer science لا، احنا ندرس شغلات الإنسان constructed، الإنسان بناها أو صنعها، زي البروجرامز، الكمبيوترز، all of these things that the human made it. In Europe, computer science is commonly called informatics. في أوروبا يطلقون على computer science informatics. Emphasizes the role of information processing as opposed to machinery. التركيز دائما على معالجة البيانات أكثر من الماشين. The term algorithmic has also been proposed. المصطلح algorithmic logarithmy emphasizes the role of algorithms and problem solving. فهذه مصطلحات دائما very common or very wide used when we talk about computer science. Informatics, algorithmic, وراح نشوف مصطلحات أخرى في coming slides. Sensor computation includes many different types of activities. Computer science research is often difficult to classify. طريقة البحث في الكمبيوتر ساينس، الأبحاث في الكمبيوتر ساينس هي فيها صعوبة دائما في الكلاسيفيكيشن، التصنيف، لأنه إحنا عندنا أكثر من component. 3 cyclic themes define the discipline. مجال أو تخصص علم الحاسب الآلي أو علوم الحاسب الآلي فيها 3 ثيمات معينة دائما نتكلم عنها: الهاردوير والسوفت وير والثيري. الهاردوير عبارة عن، لما نسمع كلمة when we hear the word hardware we mean the physical components of computers like the monitor, the fans, the motherboard, the ICs that we talked about in the second or the third generation. This is what we mean when we talk about the hardware. Something we can touch, something touchable, we can use it, touch it. Software, on the other hand, it's something that we cannot touch, but we use it, we write code for it, and we execute it by using a computer program. الثird theme اللي هو theory, and under theory we should understand the capabilities and limitation of computers. احنا عندنا hardware و software، والثيري نستخدمها عشان احنا نعرف المقدرة الأجهزة والسوفت ويرز والكمبيوترز والlimitations، الأشياء اللي هم ما يقدرون على they cannot do it. The theoretical computer science is related to mathematics and formal logic. دائما له علاقة في الماثيماتكس، الجزء النظري theoretical في الكمبيوتر ساينس، في علوم الحاسب الآلي، له علاقة في الماثيماتكس واللوجيك، formal logic المنطق. Examine different models of computation. احنا دائما نتعامل مع different models مختلفة في الكمبيوتيشن، and احنا دائما strive to understand the capabilities of algorithms and computers, because when we build a program, sometimes we can build this program by using different algorithms, such as we can add number 1 to number 2 by using different algorithms. Maybe algorithm 1 we will do it in a certain way, in algorithm 2 we will do it in a different way, algorithm 3 we will do it in a third way. So for the same problem, for the same task, we can have different algorithms that can do the same thing for us. Hardware theories, hardware developers seek to make faster and more efficient hard drive such solid state drive، يختصرونها بالSSD. فعندنا مطورين الهاردوير. Now we know what do we mean by hardware, physical component, as we said in the previous slide. Developers الخاصين في الهاردوير دائما they are trying to make more efficient devices or more efficient components. دائما يحاولون يطورون، they come up with good idea that to enhance the efficiency، الكفاءة حقت مثلا الكومبوننت. إذا كان عندنا hard disk maybe we will make it better in regard to the speed. ممكن احنا develop something new. كان عندنا hard disk 1 سرعته مثلا سرعة معينة، نقل البيانات فيه مثلا 1 megabit per second. ممكن in 1 year we develop it and make it بدال 1 megabit per second نخليها مثلا 2 giga or 2 gigabit per second. احنا we develop this hardware, this physical component. System architects research methods to increase the throughput amount of work done in a given time period. الاركتكتس المهندسين الخاصين في السيستم، المعماريين الخاصين في السيستم، دائما يركزون في ابحاثهم على increase the throughput، اللي هو throughput اللي هو كمية المعلومات المنقولة، the amount of work done in a given time، كمية المعلومات او البيانات المنقولة في وقت معين في الثانية. مثلا كم مثلا انا اقدر I can transfer انقل 1 gigabit per second في الثانية الواحدة 1 gigabit. هل أقدر أنقل مثلا 2 gigabit per second 2 gigabit في الثانية الواحدة؟ this is the focus or the main focus of system architects. Soft theories, software development theories, agile, waterfall، نظريات تطوير السوفت وير والبرمجيات. هل نستخدم طريقة الأجايل؟ هل نستخدم طريقة الووترفول؟ الأجايل طبعا طريقة أحد الطرق المشهورة في تطوير البرمجيات، ما راح نتطرق لها بكثرة هنا in this lecture today. وفي طريقة ثانية اللي مقابل لها الووترفول زي الشلال، طريقة مثلا تسلسلية في تطوير أي سوفت وير موجود عندنا. Comparing programs, algorithms to find the optimum and satisfactory solutions. مقارنة الالجوريثم زي ما قلت لكم in the previous slide. Sometimes we bring for the same problem، نفس المشكلة we can fix it by using 2 different algorithms. The same problem, algorithm 1 and algorithm 2. احنا دراسة الثيريز السوفت وير ثيريز تركز على مقارنة هذا الالجوريثم which one is better. أي algorithm أفضل, algorithm 1 or algorithm 2. The study of properties of codes and their respective fitness for specific applications. دراسة خصائص الأكواد. إحنا we have codes in computer science ومناسبتها للابليكيشنز المختلفة زي الداتا كومبريشن ضغط البيانات والكريبتوغرافي اللي هي تشفير البيانات. الهاردوير it is one or we refer to the physical components of a computer and its supporting devices. And this is we already mentioned in one of the previous slides. When we talk about hardware, we mean the physical components. Most modern computers implement von Neumann architecture. أغلب الأجهزة في أيامنا هذه تطبق مبدأ الفومن اللي هو architecture الخاص في الفون نيومان اللي هو هيكلة وطريقة الفون نيومان اللي هي input وoutput وCPU وميموري. عندي في لما نسألكم عن الفون نيومان architecture فإحنا لما نسأل عن الفون نيومان architecture معمارية الفون نيومان فهي عبارة عن input output اللي هو input output devices plus CPU plus memory. 3 things عندنا هنا 3 elements. Input output devices, this is the first one, the second one is CPU, the third one is memory. هذه معمارية الاركتكتشر الخاص في الفون نيومان. Input device is any hardware device that sends data to a computer. أي جهاز, any device that we can use to enter data into a computer. زي الكيبورد عبارة عن input device, الماوس, الميكروفون, الكاميرا. All of these devices we use them to get the data into the computer. ناخذ المعلومات ونحطها داخل الكمبيوتر. Output device any hardware device that receive information from a computer. فأني زي المونيتور والسبيكرز as an example. المونيتور we display information from the machine, from the computer into the screen onto the screen to the user, so they can see the information or the data. Okay, now after talking about the input devices and the output devices, here we come to the brain of the computer, and we mean CPU, Central Processing Unit. Why we call it the brain of the computer? Because it's responsible for carrying out all computer instructions from other hardware or software. If you remember at the beginning of this lecture, I think in slide 4 or 5, when we define the word computer, we said it is about input, processing, and output. We get the input from outside the computer, we put it inside, we do calculations or process it, then we give an output. So this is where the central processing unit works or functions. هذه عمل processing unit إنها تسوي processing على input data and provides تعطي or gives information output. So this is the brain of the computer. Without it, the computer cannot work. الكمبيوتر لا يستطيع العمل. أشهر المصنعين manufacturers الموجودين للسي بي يوز اللي هو الانتل والAMD. AMD. If you go to the market to shop or to buy an CPU, you will either find Intel, one made by Intel, or another made by AMD. How we measure البرفورمانس حق السي بي يوز الماتريكس المعايير اللي احنا نقيس فيها اداء البرفورمانس شغلتين اللي هي سبيك كلوك سبيد اللي هو الكلوك ريت والمالتي كور تكنولوجي. بالنسبه للكلوك سبيد is the number of instructions one CPU can process in a given time in any given second. كم عدد الانستركشنز اللي السي بي يو يقدر ينفذها. For example, can this computer or CPU perform 1 billion instructions in a second? يقدر يسوي مليار عملية في الثانية. Another maybe CPU can do 2 billion 2 مليار instructions per second. السي بي يو الثاني أفضل من السي بي يو الأول لأنه يؤدي 2 مليار عملية في الثانية، بينما الأول يؤدي مليار عملية في الثانية. ف one of the matrix أحد المعايير أو الأشياء اللي اختبر فيها البرفورمانس اللي هي الكلوك سبيد، الكلوك ريت. لما تسمع يقول لك إنه سرعة البروسيسور هذه 2 جيجا هرتز، السي بي يو هذا سرعته 2 جيجا هرتز، معناته كان carry out 2 billion instructions per second. لما نروح if you want to buy a computer from the جرير or Best Buy or anywhere sorry جرير or أي مكتبة موجودة أو أي سوق كمبيوتر you will hear the seller يقول لك إنه this processor is 2 gigahertz. So now you have an understanding about this term and what does it mean. ثاني metric المالتي كور technology is the number of cores، عدد السي بي يوز الكمبيوتر will have to parallelize the processing of instructions or computer tasking. في عندنا single core processor، dual core، quad core. كم عدد المعالجات الموجودة؟ هل فقط معالج واحد أو معالجين أو 4 معالجات؟ الآن الشغلات هذه تحدد أيضا مقدرة الجهاز على أداء العمليات وسرعتها، وهل ممكن تنفيذ we can do it in parallel بالتزامن بنفس الوقت. نؤدي مثلا بدل ما يكون 2 بليون 4 بليون instructions per second. الهاردوير، الميموري. ناو ننتقل، احنا تكلمنا الهاردوير input devices output devices and we talked about the memory. Now we move to talk about we talked about the CPUs in the last slide. Now we move to talk about the memory. The memory works in tandem with the CPU to determine how fast your computer performs tasks. فتشتغل مع السي بي يوز لأنه السي بي يو المعالج لما البروسيسور ينفذ عمليات دائما يسحب المعلومات من take information from الميموري، يروح ياخذ المعلومة take it from الميموري and bring it to the processor and process it. ممكن يرجع بعض المعلومات للميموري. The two main types of memory you might encounter when buying a computer are الرام والexternal storage. الرام you will hear it a lot. No one of you يعني will not hear this word when you want to buy a computer. The first thing that you will ask the seller about when you want to buy a computer is how much RAM this computer has. كم عدد الرامات الموجودة في الجهاز. الرام this is working memory. When you double click on app open a document, RAM store that data of this app while the computer is working on it. الرام basically بشكل أساسي هي الذاكرة اللي شغالة دام while computer is working، دام الجهاز شغال. الجهاز إذا طفى الرام يمسح، كل حاجة في الرام will go away. It will vanish، راح تروح. أي application if you are using your laptop and you are opening and you open الوورد برنامج الوورد will be taken and will be put in الرام، راح يروح في الرام الوورد. when you finish from الوورد and you close الوورد، لما تقفل الوورد خلاص خلصت منه it will be deleted or it will be removed from الرام، راح يزال من الرام. فالرام هي working memory. as long as you are using الجهاز أو application it will go and will be put، راح يوضع في الرام. external storage no storage for later use. ممكن now I create a Word document or create a PDF file and I will store it for later. when will it will go where will it go؟ وين راح تروح؟ راح تروح على external storage. external storage دائما يكون الهارد ديسك أو another external storage أنا أحطها عن طريق USB في الكمبيوتر عشان أستخدمها بعدين في وقت لاحق. صور، text file، audio files، video files، هذه ممكن كلها تخزن على الستورج. So we have two different memories. المين memory الرام والاكسترنال. المين ميموري and I want you to understand إنه while the computer is working it will host البرامج الشغالة على الجهاز والمعلومات اللي ما حفظت راح تحفظ على الرام. Once you close this application it will be removed from المين memory. لما تقفل الوورد تقفل الباوربوينت راح يلغى من الرام. وأي حاجة زي ما قلت لكم at the beginning when you switch off your computer everything from الرام will be removed. راح يحذف أو راح يرجع الرام إلى بيكون بشكل فاضي. volatile data disappears when the power is turned off. زي ما قلت لكم راح تتطاير المعلومات متطايرة يعني أول ما تقفل الكمبيوتر everything will be reset. non volatile ما راح تحذف المعلومات في الاكسترنال ستورج راح تحفظ بشكل permanent حتى أنت تقوم بحذفها بعدين ممكن تسوي لها delete أنت من الاكسترنال ستورج. size determine the number of opened apps, documents and browser tabs at the same time. الرام لما يكون عندك 4 رام غير لما يكون if you have 8 rams, if you have 8 gigabit it's different than you have a 16 gigabyte. This is different تمام لأنه إذا عندي أنا 4 جيجا من الرام مختلف عن من يكون عندي 16 جيجا بايت في الرام. مقدرتي لفتح بعض البرامج مجرد الناس اللي عندها 2 جيجا بايت رام دائما ما يقدرون يفتحون إلا 2-3 برامج على الأكثر، لكن اللي عندهم 8 جيجا بايت يكون عندهم مقدرة انهم they can open more documents. لما الجهاز يشتغل اللي كان يكون عندهم 16 جيجا بايت يكون عندهم they have more apps they can put in the RAM. بالنسبة للexternal storage size determines the amount of installed apps or stored data. يحدد كم عدد الابلكيشنز اللي ممكن انا اسوي لها installation موجودة عندي على الجهاز او البيانات اللي اقدر اخزنها. عندي مثلا 100 جيجا بايت، عندي 1 تيرا بايت، 2 تيرا بايت. هذه معلومات راح تبقى it will stay even when the computer is switched off حتى لما يكون الكمبيوتر طافي. size in جيجا بايتس هذا بالنسبة للمين ميموري. كانت زمان 2 بعدين ترقت إلى 4 الآن أغلب most of the devices أكثر computers they have 8 or 16 and some of them they have even 32 gigabytes. بالنسبة للإكسترنال ستورج لا أكثر بكثير جدا hundreds of gigabytes or terabytes. When we talk about the software احنا تكلمنا عن hardware input devices, hardware devices, CPU and memory. Now we move to talk about the software. The software refers to the program that execute on computers. Any kind of software that you are using to perform a certain task on your computer, it's called software. السوفتوير لها 3 أنواع. software, system software, development software, application software. السيستم software هي programs that directly control the execution of hardware components. مثال عليها الأوبريتنج سيستم Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix. All of these software called system software. ليش نسميها why we call them system software؟ لأنها تتحكم بكل تتحكم بتنفيذ تتحكم بالهاردوير الموجود في الجهاز وهي تتحكم ويوضع عليها الأذر software. Development software programs that are used as tools in the development of other programs like Microsoft Net والجافا والبايثون هي برامج تستخدم للتطوير عشان أنا I can create other programs or other applications زي البروجرامرز والديفلوبرز. هذول الناس يستخدمون الديفلوبمنت سوفتوير عشان يطور برنامج معين. لما يجي أحد يقول مثلا أحد البروجرامرز اكتب لي برنامج بالبايثون ولا بالجافا ولا بالسي شارب ولا whatever the language is, they will use a development software to create other softwares. ثالث نوع آخر نوع من السوفتويرز is the applications software. All other programs which perform a wide variety of tasks or web browser or word processors or games. كل البرامج اللي نشوفها على أجهزتنا وجوالاتنا تعتبر أغلبها applications software لأنها تؤدي certain task. الوورد عبارة عن application software. الباوربوينت عبارة عن application software. الإكسل، الأكسس، الواتساب، البراوزر نفسه المتصفح يعتبر application software لأن نستخدمها إلى certain task تؤدي وظيفة معينة أو تؤدي وظيفة معينة. Now we come to talk about subfields for computer science. I will go through them quickly, and please, if you have any question in details about them, raise it in the live lecture, inshallah, when we have it soon. Some of the subfields in computer science here, algorithms. هذه أحد الفروع الكمبيوتر ساينس. Computer science is umbrella, زي المظلة الكبيرة computer science. Under this umbrella we have different subfields. أحد الأمثلة, these are examples of these subfields اللي هو algorithms and data structures. Algorithm with data structures is the study of designing and analyzing algorithms and effectively using data structure in software systems to solve problems. تختص بدراسة تصميم وتحليل الالجوريثمز وأيهم أفضل ومقارنة، وهذه كلها عبارة عن والداتا ستراكشرز، هياكل البيانات. نستخدم المصفوفات، نستخدم المرصوصات، الستاكس واللينكد ليست والأشياء هذه الموجودة في الكمبيوتر واللي نخزن فيها البيانات. فهذه أحد السب فيلدز المشهورة في الكمبيوتر ساينس اللي هي الالجوريثمز اند داتا ستراكشرز. في عندنا سب فيلد ثاني اللي هو الكمبيوتر اركتكتشر، معمارية الكمبيوتر. هذا يوجد ناس متخصصين they study the design and development of computing technology، يدرسون التقنية كيف انهم يطورون الكمبيوتنج تكنولوجي عن طريق الاركتكتشر. هل هم يصغرون بعض الكومبوننتس، يكبرون بعض الكومبوننتس، يضيفون كومبوننتس معينة لمعمارية الكمبيوتر. ف it is a separate subfield under the computer science umbrella. الكمبيوتر نتوركس يهتم بكل ما يخص الكمبيوتر نتوركس، شبكات الكمبيوتر، تصميمها وتطويرها والهاردوير المتعلق فيها، وكيف احنا نقدر نسيطر او نتحكم بالكمبيوتر كومبوننتس المختلفة في الكمبيوتر. Software engineering another subfield في الكمبيوتر ساينس، يهتم بدراسة وتطوير الميثودولوجيز، طرق تصميم وتطبيق واختبار والمحافظة على السوفت وير سيستمز. كيف نبني سيستم كبير عن طريق ايش الخطوات المهمة اللي نتبعها، ايش افضل الطرق، how to maintain this huge software، كيف احنا نقدر نسوي صيانة او للكود للاشياء هذه اللي كتبناها. يعني يخص كتابة السوفت ويرز الكبيرة، السوفت وير انجينيرنج. artificial intelligence and robotics، هذه احد اشهر يمكن التخصصات اللي تسمعونها في السنوات الأخيرة. artificial intelligence الذكاء الاصطناعي، نفس الشيء ذكاء الآلة، يخص تصميم ودراسة وتحليل ذكاء الآلة، وكيف إحنا we can make this machine، نخلي الآلة هذه ذكية تتعامل وتسوي behavior مشابه أو مطابق للbehavior الإنسان. والروبوتكس، كيف نبرمج الروبوتكس، كيف نطورها، كيف نحسن من أدائها، والأشياء المتعلقة في هذا كله. Bioinformatics يجمع ما بين الكمبيوتر ساينس والبيولوجي، دراسة الجينات وتطور الجينات وتحسين أداء الجينات. هذه الأشياء كلها تندرج تحت البايوانفورماتكس. Programming languages، لغات البرمجة، تطويرها، تحسين أدائها، مقارنتها فيما بينها. Database and Information Retrieval، دراسة قواعد البيانات، تحسين أداء قواعد البيانات واسترجاع المعلومات. الكمبيوتر سيكيورتي، هذا أحد الأشياء المهمة في العصر الراهن بسبب انتشار الواسع للتقنية. صار عندنا مشكلة في السيكيورتي. هذا أحد فروع الكمبيوتر ساينس اللي يهتم بحماية أنظمة الكمبيوتر ودراسة المخاطر، وكيف نواجه المخاطر هذه وكيف نحلها وكيف نأمن السيستمز الموجودة عندنا عشان وإحنا نواجه أي مشكلة ممكن تواجهنا في المستقبل. Finally, when we deal with computers، احنا نتعامل مع الكمبيوترز there are ethics، في أخلاقيات. احنا now most of us use the computers، not most of us، all of us، كلنا الآن we use the computers. طيب when we use the computers there are ethics. احنا عندنا اخلاقيات لابد we follow these ethics. احنا نستخدم الكمبيوتر لابد نتبع الاثكس، اخلاقيات معينه، مو نستخدم الكمبيوتر وممكن نضر الغير، ممكن نتعدى على اموال الغير، ممكن نتعدى على حقوق الخير. وش الكود اوف كوندكت؟ الكود اوف كوندكت اللي خاص في فايش what is قواعد السلوك اللي we have to follow it. كتعريف للكود اوف كوندكت is a written guideline، عباره عن ارشادات مكتوبه that helps determine whether a specification إذا كان specification is ethical or unethical، أخلاقي أو غير أخلاقي، or allowed or not allowed. يعني اللي عبارة عن شيء مكتوب يعلمنا إذا إحنا الشيء اللي نسويه أخلاقي أو غير أخلاقي، أو مسموح فيه أو غير مسموح فيه. لأنه في مجال الكمبيوتر في أشياء كثيرة إحنا ممكن نسويها ممكن تكون غير أخلاقية. And at the same time we might do a lot of things that we shouldn't do it. We are not allowed to do it. مو معناته إنه we have a computer system or we have a machine with in our hand we can use it to harm other people. That is this is not acceptable at all. So sample of IT conduct, code of conduct. Technology should not be used to harm other people. We cannot use the technology to harm other people and to do bad things to them. User should not meddle in other files. You cannot play with other people's files, destroy them or steal information from these files and other etc. You are not allowed. And nowadays there are regulations, إجراءات، if you violate these regulations إذا أنت خالفتها you will be إيش؟ راح تحاكم، you will be judged and you will be taken to court، راح يأخذونك إلى المحكمة. لأنه الآن الكمبيوتر is a serious thing. You can do a lot of bad things by using the computer. نقدر ممكن إن إحنا نسوي أشياء غلط كثير باستخدام الكمبيوتر. You have to be careful when you use this machine. User should use the technology only for purposes which they have been authorized. You can only do what you are allowed to do. Okay? Technology should not be used to steal. You cannot steal money. You cannot steal people's properties or things or belongings. Users should not use others' resources without authorization. You cannot use other people cards. You cannot use other people information without taking their permission. تاخذ تصريح منهم. User should not use others' intellectual property as their own. You cannot copy other people's work and you claim this is my work. This is not acceptable. وهذا يعاقب عليه القانون وبشدة الآن. أنت ما تقدر تاخذ المجهودات الفكرية أو تعب الناس وأنت تقول this is my work. زي البلاجيريزم في الجامعة اللي هو الغش الأكاديمي. This is very serious thing. طيب. By the end of this slide we reach the end of this lecture. We hope that everything is clear to you. If you have anything that is unclear, please raise it in the live session. Inshallah, we will have it soon together. شكرا ويعطيكم العافية بالتوفيق.